Hi class, I want to remind you about this great resource, musictheory.net. When I gave a video about this earlier, I emphasized note identification and key signature identification. Now we're later in the semester and I want to emphasize interval identification, particularly compound intervals, and chord identification. Let's take a quick look at what you should use for your settings on those, because you can customize them. So my interval identification, the way you do your settings is up here. You click on that and you have this page to begin with. So you're going to pick clefs, so you should pick both treble and bass clef. Okay. You can also do grand staff if you like. Then you should also have the range should be, this is a good range here, about A here to high C there. Even a more ideal would be to go down a little bit on this lower end, down to the lowest note on the guitar. That would be good. Okay, and then key signatures, you should choose all of them, but if you want to develop your confidence first, you could just initially have a few, like 5, and then gradually build up more and more, but that's how you change them. That's how you add new key signatures. I would start with at least, we've covered in class these 6 in detail, and now we're on this one. So I would do at least 8, and then build up from there. You said yes, you want to require the quality. You have to say the quality of the interval, all the types of intervals, and then you want to choose compound mode. Now it might be off. You want to make it green by clicking on it. You want to do compound intervals, and then your difficulty level is up to you, but just do at a certain level for a while. If it starts to feel really easy, go to a higher level. And then this can be, you can set this up in different ways. You can have the next question come immediately, or after you click or tap if you want to think about it, or it can come right after it plays the audio of the right answer. So those are the suggested settings for the intervals. And just a quick reminder, so now we can do compound intervals. So we've chosen them. So you figure out the compound interval, you bring the note down an octave. So you would bring that B flat down an octave, figure out that it's a perfect fourth, add 7, 4 plus 7 is 11, it's a perfect 11th, you click that, and you know you're right because it was green, and it also played the sound of the interval. Then it goes to the next one after you've clicked your answer. Okay, we've got another one here, G, and the upper note is A flat, bring that upper note down, A flat, G to A flat is a second, what kind of second? Minor second, add 7, a minor ninth, choose minor ninth, wherever there it is. Okay, so that's intervals. Let's talk about chord identification. Settings for this I recommend are, first of all, clefs, both clefs, treble and bass. Key signatures, again, you could start with fewer and then build up as you get more confidence. Types of chords, this is important. Okay, we're going to have major triad, minor triad. You do not need augmented triad in this class, but if you want, you could do it. If you know what it is, it's a major third and an augmented fifth. But you do need diminished triad, dominant seventh, major seventh, minor seventh. Not this one. Then you do need half diminished, which we're calling minor 7 flat 5. It's the same thing. Not doing that. And then down here at the bottom, we are doing suspended fourth and suspended and dominant seventh. And I would also recommend sus2 because it's a very common chord in pop music, and it's the same concept. It's just sus4 is a fourth instead of a third, and sus2 is a second instead of a third. So those are the ones that you should choose for identification. Difficulty level, again, that's up to you. You can start easier and ramp it up. And then how often do you want it? How quickly do you want the answer to come? Straight away, or after you're ready and you click and tap here. If you're timing yourself, you probably want to use this one because it'll go faster. Now we have an example here, so we look at it, we see this is an E, an A, and a B, and you know from the shape that it's not a straight ahead triad built on thirds, so that means it's some kind of sus triad, and yes, that's a fourth and that's a fifth, so a triad with a fourth and a fifth is a sus4, so you say sus4 is the answer. Then it gives you another one. Well, that's an easy looking one just visually. You know that's a root position major, root position triad. You don't know if it's major yet. You figure it out. Okay, B flat, D, F. You're thinking in the key of B flat. It's the one chord. You know it's major, major triad, and so on. To emphasize here, we had talked about clefs, we talked about range, all this other stuff, but we've got to talk about inversions. You want to turn that on. Now, if you want to warm up and you want to make it easier, you could start with it off. But definitely to be ready for the next two exams, you need to be able to identify inversions as well. So you should turn it on eventually. Okay, that's it. Here's a seventh chord for us. Obviously, root position. Check the clef, so we know it's a G chord. G to B natural, major third, G to D, perfect fifth, G to F, minor seventh, G7, dominant seventh chord, and so on. So practice makes perfect. Hi there, while we're at it, I just wanted to add one more thing, which is the identification of seventh chords even when they're in inversions. So I wanted to remind you that when seventh chords are in inversions, they have a sort of distinctive look. They have some notes that are in the snowman configuration, and then they have somewhere in there's going to be a clump, two notes that are a second apart. And that clump is like a pointer. What it does is it tells you what the root is. The upper note of the clump will be the root of the chord. Okay, so that means this is the root of this seventh chord. B flat is the root of this seventh chord. So now you can compute the chord by thinking of that A as being a seventh, that A flat, and then you can figure it out from there. So B flat to D flat, you know it in the key of B flat. You think about what the normal B flat chord is in the key of B flat dominant seventh, the diatonic chord that is. And notice how this is different. Well, one note is different. What note is different? The third is different. The B flat dominant chord has a major third. This has been reduced by a half step, so it's a minor third. Therefore, this is a 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. In other words, a minor seventh chord. Now I'm going kind of fast when I'm talking. I'm talking here just because I'm trying to get the video done. But you can obviously take as long as you need to figure these things out initially. Okay, have fun.